Hello, everybody. I had everything ready to go, and then my mouse wasn't working, so I had to restart. So, welcome. I'm Katrina. This is Sow and Tare live chat, and I had everything open, so I'm opening it again. And I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just opening the stuff that I already had open and it had to close. Hope everybody had a good day. It was a day off for me, but I did a lot of computer stuff. So that's what I was up to today. Not much fun stuff, but that's okay. That is okay. Let's see. Now I might have everything open that I had open. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So, yeah, like I said, I hope you guys had a good day. I had an okay day, and except for having to restart my computer, tried to get on a minute before, and I was like, oh, guess not. Anyway, so today we have a couple things going on. We're going to take a look at the new bunny's name. He's not all that new anymore. I thought I opened this. It's opening. Okay. Come on. All right. So, if you have not voted yet for the new bunny's name, I'm going to put a link here and you can vote. One vote per person, please. Steve, I'm looking at you. And if you are in California or Arizona and you want to grow or like to grow fruit trees, you're going to want to hear our topic of discussion later today. So that is what I'll say. And as always, please keep things family friendly. And I'm going to scroll up to the top and we're going to start with a bunch of hellos and highs. And feel free to let us know where you're from, what you're growing, what you plan to grow, all of that. Welcome, welcome. All right. Andy Rabbit says third. I actually was on here and Ed said second. See, I know I was here. It just wouldn't work. I don't know who was first. So, welcome. Welcome. And Verna's here. She says, hey, have to water animals. Be right back. All right. Welcome, Verna. Verna is Vay's place. She is blue with a little wrench, and she catches bad guys. She's my moderator. If you grow animals, let's see. No, if you want to grow, or if you grow animals in a small space, her channel has information about how to grow animals and gardening in an apartment setting. All right, Erin's here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Erin. Erin, I think you'll be particularly interested in tomorrow's video. I'm just going to leave it at that until later. Make you guess. All right. Verna's back. And you going to get coffee. Oh my gosh. Going back and forth. Getting your miles in. All right. Oh, yes. And Andy says, hello, Ed. I know Ed was there. Hello. You've disappeared since then on my side. Hey, Joy's here. Hey, all. Welcome, Joy. All right. And Buster says, hey to all. Welcome, Buster. We are getting our hellos good. Verna, you staying warm? Buster asked. Yeah. We don't have the cold that pretty much the rest of the country does. So hopefully everybody who's dealing with the cold and this wind and the snow and all that is doing really well with it. And hopefully your animals got all warm and or not warm, but protected. And hopefully you are good with that. Guido's Family Farm put out a video today about using the house wrap as a roll down for your animals. And I know I talked to you guys about it before and I couldn't quite picture it. And I picture it now. It's a really good idea. So that is a really good idea. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. Because that's a good video. And yeah, Berta says, even walking Lucy, wear a mask. Yep, it's cold, huh? Andy Rabbit says, I got the last water dish thawed out again for tonight. Good. Oh, Steve, you're all right on time. I was here earlier too. You just couldn't see me. I actually was here. I was here when I saw Ed. Yeah, I had to start had to restart my computer. My mouse wasn't working. Sorry, guys. I'm here now. All right. And it looks like people are doing good. Stevens is late tonight. He isn't late tonight. I know. Buster says, yeah, just cold. Uh-oh. Steve says, hey, cuz, Buster, Andy, off with her head, and Aaron, stealer of my heat. Yeah, it was warmer here today, too, Steve. I just didn't feel the need to flaunt that. We don't have winter storm. Don't send your weather this way, Steve. Keep it over there safely. All right. Andy says, I'm even on time tonight. I know. Yes, tardy, but I was here earlier. Okay. Hey, PJ says, hey, I'm here. We can start now. This is true. We waited for PJ. Come on. Welcome, PJ. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the Katrina's Kits Cook With Me Live. We had a whole lot of fun. There's a couple people on there we had fun. We made some good food. We made pear butter and ricotta raviolis in a roasted garlic cream sauce. And it's delicious. And I have some in the refrigerator for leftovers after the live. So there you go. If you are interested in joining Katrina's Kits, let's see if this thing has loaded yet. Here we go. Then, let's see. I have multiple things open. Then you can click this link. You can also say there's a join button down below. Sometimes if people aren't Apple, I guess that join button doesn't work. And in that case, you can click the link. But it's a lot of fun. We do a monthly cook together. Awesome. Steve says, good thing, PJ. Great. I'll tell Katrina to go. Andy Rabbit says, I was here and then I realized the time, so I thought I would hurry and thaw the last waterer out real quick. Yeah, you have a lot of waterers to thaw, don't you? Yeah. All right. Has the show started yet? Ken says. It has now. All right. And Kelly's here. Feather Connections Homestead. Hey, everybody. Hey, Kelly. Hope you're doing good. I enjoyed your recent, I don't know which one that was, TikTok? Whatever you posted with the clock. There we go. Oh, Ken, you set your alarm. That's good. Verna says, I package up 3 packages of quail and sauce and 3 packages of quail eggs. Awesome. Sounds good. Guido's Family Farm is here. Hi, Christina. And that is what you want to type in, Guido's Family Farm, if you want to see that video that they did for the house wrap rollers. You guys should make a how-to. I don't know if you did. If you did, I missed it. But it looks really good. Excuse me. Thank you. Yeah, that's really good. New kits, no. I think they're pregnant though. If you guys saw the video from today, sorry, it was almost all bunnies, but that's what's been happening. When rabbits are about to give birth, their hormone, there's a hormone that gets released, and the fur comes out really easily. It's so they can pull out the fur to make their nests. So that is that's the reasoning why it happens. It's natural. It's a hormone released thing. And so when I pet them, their hair started coming off of my hand a lot. So I thought it was going to be this morning. I really, really did. But maybe one more day, because they didn't do that the other 2 times that they were bred and then didn't actually have babies. Their hair didn't do that last time or the time before. So I think we're actually pregnant. The bunnies. Yeah. So hopefully tonight, maybe. So this is day 31. And typically in the past, my rabbits have had them on days 30 and 31. These ones, this is their first time, so I don't know what to expect. But pretty much up until day 35 is kind of the max of when to expect them. So Andy Rabbit says, I've been entering pedigree stuff so I can send them to someone online. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Steve says, hey, Christina, that lady that brags on gardening while I'm freezing. That's hilarious. Yeah, and Verna says, I'm sure that person will appreciate it greatly, Andy. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Steve, you didn't campaign this time, Steve, for the name. All right. You're in the right place at the right time, Ken says. Good, good, good. Hey, Dawn's here. I finally made it. Snowing now in South Central Illinois. Welcome, Dawn. Welcome. All right. And it's heading towards Verna. You know, this is like the never-ending storm, isn't it? My parents are getting snow up in Oregon, and I mean, it's all across the country. Yeah. Aaron says, now I'm excited for tomorrow's video. Do you want me to tell you what it is, or you want to like be surprised? I'll tell you at some point. I forget how to say your name. Higgy Homestead? Hello. Hello and welcome. All right. And let's see. Dawn says, it won't amount to much here, I don't think, because I am below the dividing line. He should get half an inch. Hey, half an inch is okay. And wind chill has mostly been below 0. Wind chill is tough. And you want to get something, if you go outside, you want to get something for your face. I know you said you're wearing a mask. I'm guessing it's like a ski mask. Because the wind burn, if you've not had wind burn, it's just as bad as sunburn. Or it can be. And it can really just get your skin to be raw. It's really nasty. Yeah. What video tomorrow? You missed something. Dawn, I said that the video tomorrow Aaron will be particularly interested in. Should I just say what it is? I just say what it is. So last year, the flooring in the kitchen was redone by Manuel's brother. So Manuel is a flooring expert. He is, he's done flooring for over 20 years. And so is his brother. And when he had his finger incident where he got injured, he was going to do the floor, but then he asked his brother to do it. And they put it in his brother and his brother helper put it in, I think it was like 4.5 hours or something like that. But I've had a fix a squeaky floor video. I had a tear out video. And now we finally have the install video. So if you're looking at installing the flooring, that is something that will be good for you to watch. And also, next Monday, Manuel has agreed to come on as a special guest to talk about, answering your questions about flooring. So I know usually you go homesteading with the animals and the plants and the growing food and the preserving. Fixing things and building things is also part of the self-sufficiency lifestyle. And so he'll be available next week to answer questions. So there you go. Now you know. All right. Oh, you got 1/4 of an inch last storm, Verna? Yeah. Yeah, Andy says, I like the idea of the house wrap. I looked it up today. It's cheaper than the tarps I have been buying. I'll be switching to the house wrap next time I buy. I did not know it's cheaper than tarps. That's something I did not know. There we go. Yeah. And Aaron's responding about the house wrap. We have used it for a couple years and it's still holding up. Awesome. 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 You guys answered the same thing. I love it. Oh, Verna says, my hands have not been cooperating on the cage building. Yeah. Sometimes hands don't work. Sometimes you're just like, I'm tired. I need a day off. Yeah. All right. PJ says, used up the leftover dough with the frozen filling tonight. Added chicken and spinach to the sauce. It was just as yummy. That's awesome. So PJ's talking about what we made for the Katrina's Kits Cook With Me live event that we had this Saturday. She's a member, and we made some yummy stuff. So check that out. Hey, Leslie's here. Welcome, Leslie. Hi, my quail survived 27 below zero. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Tell us about your setup. I raise mine in aviaries. Other people in here raise in aviaries or cages or hutches. Tell us about your setup. I'd love to know, because 27 below zero is nice that anybody, that everybody survived. But I mean, yeah, it's cold. Let's just say that. Thank you, Verna. You said bless you when I sneezed. Yeah, Verna's saying as long as they have a place where they can get out of the wind and inclement weather, it's good. Yeah. So I think, was that a question or a statement? I think she was saying, yeah, they survived it. So they survived through it. Yep. Andy says, I buddy up some of the rabbits to cuddle up with each other and cut down on the water bowls. So far, everyone is doing great. A 75-watt heat element bulb over the guinea pigs keeps their water thawed. Okay. And so when you're cuddling up the bunnies, do you mean you put the cages next to each other, or do you mean you actually put them with each other? Because I'm wondering how the female, the dominance issues that can come with that. I'm wondering about that. Dawn says, that's good, Andy, that you are getting it worked out, so less work on you. Absolutely. Freezing? It's 5 degrees, Higgy Homestead says. Hooga? Okay. You may have to remind me of that. Hooga Homestead. All right. And Ken says, share the show with all your friends and family. I just did. Aw, Ken, you're sweet. That is awesome. Heck is going back down to -18 tonight and double digits tomorrow. 11 whole degrees, Dawn says. Dawn, my dad has a weather station thing that goes up on the roof, and it has a readout. And it's so funny because when it's raining hard, it actually says raining cats and dogs. And he sent me a picture of it, I think yesterday or something, and it was really cold. But I'm like, there's no snarky remark on there. Like, I would expect if they put in raining cats and dogs, they should put in something for like really, really cold temperatures. So that was my editorial remark for them. Steve says, Tuesday is day 3 of our winter storms. I'm tired of it. How long is it supposed to last? Do you know? Or does the projection not go out that long? Oh, arthritis and cold, Verna. Yeah. Yep. I get it. Andy says, the tarps I get are around $60 for a 12 by something. I think 9 foot, because we want white and UV resistant. Yeah. I have the silver one. It's supposed to be UV resistant too. Yeah. Hey, Orlando's here. Hello from New York. Hello from California. Welcome. Oh yeah. So Verna just read the statement as a question for the -27 degrees. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Dawn says, I hope you get relief, to Verna. It does suck for sure. Fingers, legs, shoulders, wherever the arthritis is. My whole body. Yeah. Leslie says, I have 2 hutches in my run with straw bedding, heated water, and layer of crumble layer crumble. I thought you said layer of crumble. Like, really? Layer crumble for feed. That's awesome. Good job. PJ and Orlando, you're in New York together. It's a big state. But wouldn't it be cool if you were neighbors? That would be cool. All right. I'm going to give until 6:45 for... All right. If you have not voted for the Buck Buddy's name, I'm going to give it till 6:45 and then we're calling it. There we go. If you haven't voted yet, vote on that link. And then if you are or if you are in or plan to be in California or Arizona soon, you're going to want to listen after that announcement. All right. For Hooga, think of a car horn. Hooga, hooga, hooga. Do I have to say it that way, Steve? Baseplay says, I need to read better. I am messing up a lot. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. All right. Orlando's in Utica. Leslie says, thank you, Vay. This is my first hatch of 13 in Wyoming. Awesome. So your first hatch, you had them go through -27. Well, I'm glad you're doing things with great success because that is great. That's awesome. How old are your birds? That's awesome. Oh, Andy Rabbit says, I've been using bee venom cream a lot during this freeze. Is that for your joints? Yeah. And PJ grew up north of Rome. I'm guessing that's in New York. Christina says, I voted. It's 8:24 already. Are we waiting till 8:24? You vote for coconut. PJ, that wasn't one of the ones we picked. I'm sorry. We're not cracking them open. Oh, she's late. Okay. I'm talking Pacific time. PJ, go back and vote one that matches your first initial. Oh, Steve's he's doing some politicking now. Yeah, bee cream for joints. Okay. Andy, you have 20 more minutes. One vote per person. There we go. Oh, you have a dog with that name? Yeah, sometimes yeah, if you know a person with a certain name or something, it's like when you write a fictional story and you're like, oh, what should these names be? And someone suggests that, you're like, no, that's not that person. Yeah. Leslie says, my birds are 4 months old with more crowing than laying. You're in winter. I don't know where you are. Yes, you said Wyoming, right? You're in winter. You're having winter right now, right? So it might take them a while because you have that cold and you have. Do you have lights on them? If you have lights on them, then they should be laying. But if it's extreme cold, especially if it happened quick, that is something that can stop them. Yeah. Steve's trying to play matchmaker. Just think, Penne and Piercy. Piercy. Yep. All right. BJ, go for the second letter of your name then. Aaron voted. All right. And she's sticking to coconut. All right. Cooking by Shaheen. Welcome. I don't think we've seen you here before. Are you growing things or you love to cook? Because we cook things, we grow things here. That's awesome. Yeah, so some of the cooking I plan to do coming up that I have been slacking on. A long time ago, I did a video. I went to the National Heirloom Expo, and came back with tons of different squashes from the Heirloom Expo. And so I've only done one cooking video on them. And so I plan to do a lot more cooking videos with those heirloom squashes. So that is coming up for sure. And then also I do have the Cook With Me Live membership. And that is really, really, it's been really a lot of fun. It's a membership. It's once a month, and we do fun things. Like this last time we made, there's a link here. We made pear butter and ricotta raviolis with a roasted garlic cream sauce, and it was delicious. Delicious. Yeah. Good morning. Where are you? Cooking by Shaheen. Where are you? What time is it? It's evening here. It's 6:30 here where I am in California. Awesome. Andy Rabbit says, PJ, she needs a brown chocolate rabbit to name Coconut. You can't remember what name you voted on, Dawn? Well, I guess you'll just agree with whatever gets named, right? Oh, you're thinking Pina Colada? Because his mom's name is Pineapple. That's PJ's thinking. Okay. Yeah. Steve, PJ's paying attention. Mommy's name for the little bunny is Pineapple. We are naming a buck bunny, by the way, for anybody who's just tuning in. He has bred 2 ladies, and they are due sometime soon. Yeah. Steve, isn't it summer? Only at Aaron's house. Yep. Oh, Don says, no, I don't remember. I have had so much going on. I just do stuff and move on to the next thing. That's okay. That is okay. Oh, Steve says, just for the record, Persimmon is a girl's name, as is Ashley and Leslie, I've been told, which are also boys' names. There we go. All right. Yeah, so we've been waiting for baby bunnies, and that's kind of what I've been doing in the morning, in the evening, sometimes in the middle of the day, go out. And I even went out at midnight last night thinking, oh boy, I better go out, make sure they're not on the wire and all of that. And so, and they haven't had them yet. I sure hope they have babies now. So yeah. Leslie says, call the bunny Hassan feather. I don't know what that means, but we have a poll going, so it's up to those options. Aaron says, Steve, we have snow forecasted at 4 a.m. here. All right. Marion is a boy's name and a girl's name. Yep, you're right, Verna. Do you still have time to change your vote, Dawn, to Jack? That's Andy's name. Andy's name is not Jack. Andy came up with the name Jackfruit. Jack for short. I do remember liking 3 or 4 of the names, so it's okay with me. Shirley, right? Shirley is also male, female. There we go. Dawn says, I don't know that I didn't vote for him. It was one of the ones I liked. All right. Kelly was once a man's name too. Yep. So it really doesn't matter for all of that. Now people are naming their kids all sorts of things. And different cultures have different names for, it's awesome. All right. Maybe I should have said 6:30, huh? All right. In the meantime, well, we are going to talk about something else, and then we'll come back to this. Dawn says, my old neighbor man was named Shirley, and he died 10 years ago. All right. So I would like to share with you guys some events that are coming up. Let me see. Present. Share screen. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see this. This is California Rare Fruit Growers, and let me go there and give you guys a link to this. If you are in California or Arizona, you're going to want to know about this website. If you are interested in growing fruit, rare fruit, any kind of fruit. And some things that are happening is the 2024 Scion Exchange. And you click on this, and this is being updated kind of as we speak. There's some conversations that have been going on emails about adding things. So I think some places don't have times yet. Some places do. It may have changed since I've been here. But we have several different ones. Arizona, if you're in Arizona, there is one in Phoenix, and that is on the 13th. That's coming up. Oh, it already happened? Never mind. Never mind. And so the rest of these are in California. I thought Texas had one. I don't know why I keep thinking Texas has one. They might. But there are tons of different events. And I will be at the Monterey Bay one for sure. In SoCal. That is the 27th. So I know I'm going to be at there. There's one in LA. There's North San Diego, Santa Clara Valley. I'll probably go to that one. That's in Palo Alto. Inland Empire. That's Riverside. Sacramento. I may or may not go to that one. If Linda's watching, that's up by you. February 4. Oh, actually, wait, Ken, this is for you too. You're in Sacramento too. Who else is in Sacramento? It's Vicky's watching. The February 4 one, Sacramento. West Los Angeles has one. San Joaquin has one in Turlock. Golden Gate chapter, that's there's one in Pleasant Hill. This is Bay Area again. South Orange County has one in I don't know where. South Orange County. South Bay. Oh, Rancho Palo Verdes. Not the San Francisco Bay, some other bay. Central Coast, the San Luis Obispo is having one. Redwood Empire, that's in Santa Rosa. That's where I actually first went to one. And they have good stuff there too. And then Mendocino is going to have one as well. So that is a really good event, and I'll describe what it is. But I'll give you guys a minute to write down things. If you want to attend any of those, I'm sorry I didn't say the 13th for Arizona. That already happened. That was this weekend. And so California Rare Fruit Growers is an organization. Don't generally like sell fruit trees or sell things. It's mostly education and kind of like a club that gets together and looks at different trees, learns different things, teaches different things. At most of these events, if not all of them, I can't speak to all of them, but for all the ones that I've been to, there's been a grafting demonstration. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. And there's been a grafting demonstration. So what is grafting? Grafting is when you have a tree or plant, some sort of thing. I'm going to use tree because that's what we're talking about here. Let's say you have apple tree and you want to grow a different kind of apple on it. Then you can take a cutting from a different tree and put it on there. In very layman's terms, that is what you're doing. As long as the cambium, which is the inner layer of the bark, lines up to some extent, then that's kind of like stitching together the blood vessels, right? Except they grow together themselves. That's where all the nutrients and water and all the stuff goes up and down the tree trunk. So as long as those line up and it doesn't get moisture loss and dries out, or too much moisture and fungus or happens or something like that, as long as those layers match up, they will grow together. And you can put an apple on an apple, you can put a cherry on a cherry, you can put a plum on a plum, or plums and peaches and nectarines and apricots, those can all go together. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. You can make a fruit salad tree if you want, and have all sorts of different fruits on the same tree. only thing with that is I recommend don't put apricot with other things because apricot grows so vigorously. That's just personal experience. And you will have to manage those as separate things on one branch or on one tree. So it does become complicated if you do that. It's kind of fun though. So anyway, that is a interesting thing. And these, I don't know how much all of them are. They're typically like $5 or $10 for members, and sometimes I think up to $25 for non-members. Often they will have rootstocks there for sale, and you can literally go and pick up sticks. People have and yes, Verna says Katrina has a video on grafting. I do have a video on grafting. The tree that I grafted with the nectarine, that graft did not work, but I've done many grafts that did work. Yeah, so you can actually have these things that are, let's say you have a really, like you have a cherry tree and it's a really healthy cherry tree, but you just hate the fruit. It is terrible fruit. It's nasty. You don't like it. Well, instead of cutting it down and moving on, you can actually overgraft that. You can cut the top parts and put on a cherry that you like or that you think you like, and go from there. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And basically it's an exchange. Because of diseases, certain things are not allowed in certain places. So that is something that we have to pay attention to. Diseases or pests, and some things have to be inspected just so we know we're not moving pests around. And then the other thing is basically, if you do attend one of these, try not to take all the sticks you can carry, because that is a mistake everybody makes the first time. Ooh, I can graft this, and I can graft this, and I can graft this. And most of those sticks end up not growing because no one grafts them. Most of the time people graft like a couple trees. So be cognizant of that. But there are usually workshops. The ones I've been to, they've all been free once you get in the door. No extra cost. There's workshops for how to graft. There's often people who are grafting that know how to graft, that will graft for you. If you buy the rootstock there, they can graft it on. I might try and help do that this year. I have to see if they need extra people. But anyway, so that is what that event is. It is an in-person event. Somebody asked that. I don't remember. Yes, it is an in-person event. And they're exchanges. So if you live somewhere, you can make your own scion exchange. A scion is a car, right? No, it's not a car. Before it was a car, it was a stick. I don't know why they named a car after a stick. It's literally people trim their trees in the wintertime and bring in those trimmings for other people to make trees out of. It is amazing. It is amazing that we can do this. It's amazing. It's a thing that happens. If you have a named variety of fruit tree, you likely have something that was grafted. Most fruit trees, like if you have a Granny Smith apple tree, that came from another tree. They grew a rootstock, grew a seed, planted a seed, that grew, and then that got cut off, and then another branch got put on, and that's how you have your Granny Smith tree. They don't have Granny Smith roots usually. So anyway, let's scroll up. We have 3 minutes before voting closes. There we go. Steve says, I had an Uncle Connie married to Aunt Esther. Hassan Feather is a misspelling for Hassan Feather. I don't know what that is. Sorry. All right. Andy Rabbit says, is that an in-person thing? Yes, it is in person. Some list the entry fee, some do not. Are they free if they don't list the price? So these are chapter by chapter, and so it's up to them. And they'll probably be more. So there was that link at the top to the different chapters, and they'll have more information there. So yeah, just go to the website crfg.org, which I put up above, and that you can go to the different chapters and see. It's pretty cool. You can always, I mean, if someone has a tree that you want, you can always, ask them for stuff. And there are limitations on what can be sent different places because of diseases and pests. So keep that in mind. Yeah. Dawn says, I did grafting years ago. It was fun. It's really weird. It's a really weird feeling to go like, wait, that grew. And all I did is put this on here and it worked. I mean, there's a little more involved in that, but not much. Use a little bit of tape. That's it. Yeah, and Verna says, I do have a video on grafting. Yeah, Dawn says they have the 5 kinds of apple trees. Yep. And Steve says, so you can put yellow apples on a red apple tree. You can do multiple color of apples on one tree. Yep. And Dawn says, yep, Steve, add a Granny Smith too. And Dawn says, weeping cherry trees are just grafted onto another kind of tree trunk. Yep. Oh, thank you, Verna, for putting that link. You put 2 of them? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I did do 2 of them, huh? Steve says, scion also means a descendant of a notable family. Well, it also means a stick that's still alive and gets put onto a tree. So English is a fun language, right? All right, we are at 6:45. Let's present. Share screen. Share. Okay, here's what it was. I'm going to refresh. This is the community page. This is what community page looks like. And looks like we have 23 votes. Pretty good. And Percy. Looks like it's Percy. So Percy for persimmon is his name. Percy, and then jackfruit was next, then kiwi, then durian. All right, our little boy bunny's name is Percy. I need to take a picture of it. Here, let me take a picture of you guys. All right, come on, focus. All right. Let me make sure that actually came out. Well, it has a reflection of me in it, but that's okay. There you go. We have a name. Congrats, Percy, Steve says. I know, I'm going to have to tell him his name. I think he thinks his name is Little Boy Bunny. That's what I've been calling him. Hi, Little Boy Bunny. Percy is a winner already. Yep. That's what was ahead last night when I did my video for today. So that's what was ahead. So I kind of expected that would be it, but I'm glad to get more votes on there. Hope he doesn't end up like Percy did in Troy. He's a rabbit. He'll do better. I think the rabbit was in what's the name of the movie? The silly one. With Troy. Come on, somebody knows what I'm thinking of. Oh. Dawn says, dang, I blew the whole screen up to read that. And Katrina switched it back so quick her face was right big in my face. Dawn, I will change it back just for you. Oh, you're funny. All right, there you go. There's the final pick. I'm sorry, Dawn. It is small on that screen, I guess. Oh, you're funny. I scared you. Thank you for the laugh, Dawn. Oh boy. All right. Steve says the bunny name is named Percy because he was found on Percy Avenue. What? You saw it. Okay. I don't know what that means. In Yuba City, he's a police officer? I don't know. I can't think of that movie name. It's the one with the rabbit. And it's a flying circus. Somebody knows this. Anyway, here we go. We have Percy, Persimmon. We have Persimmon shortened to Percy for our buck bunny name. So now we know. All right. I'm going to go back to talking about, sorry, Dawn, I keep thinking about that. I'm going to go back to talking about scions. So who here is in California? I know Ken is in California. I don't know who else might be in California. But if you like fruit, and some of the scions don't have to be grafted either, like figs and kiwis and stuff like that, they will start by rooting. So people will bring in that. People also bring in plants that they want to share. They often bring in like tree-colored starts or, different things just to share. And every so often, there's somebody who actually grows stuff that does bring stuff to sell. I know there's one guy out of the Santa Rosa chapter, I think he's from there. I don't remember. That does pineapple guava varieties. And there's different varieties, which is pretty cool. So they're a lot of fun. And I encourage you, if you are in California or if you're visiting California in the next month, to check those out. And even if you don't have anything growing, the energy of these events is so awesome. Everybody wants to talk to you about plants. Everybody wants to find their thing. Sometimes there's the energy of, oh my gosh, that's mine, which is not great. But most of the energy is really, really good. And everybody wants to share information. And it's a really good group of people usually that are, well, the people who are running it are good. It's open to the public. And so you don't know who you're getting, but it's a fun event. Katrina, are you bringing any scions? I might this year. I have to do that this week, this next weekend, probably. I think everything that I have, other people have and have been consistently bringing. So I have to think about which ones I have that other people don't generally have. I have to think about that. Because basically what this is all the well, not all the chapters, but like our like San Francisco Bay kind of area and Sacramento and maybe down south of just a little bit, we kind of share scions. So like usually in our little bubble, the Monterey group, which is the group that I'm mostly associated with, even though the other one's closer because they don't do as much stuff. They're generally the first ones to do it. And so things get brought from all over there. And then things are left over from there. Plus whatever's local to other places go to those different areas. So they're a fun thing. But generally there's a list, and I haven't seen it yet this year. I'll have to ask about it. Generally there's a list to see if they need, they say what they have and then what else might be needed. And so I don't want to bring stuff that is not necessary to bring. I don't know. It'll be fine. So long way of saying I don't know. Steve says Percy the Park Keeper from a children's book. I have no idea what that is. Percy what's a park keeper? I don't know what a park keeper is. Anyway, so yeah, even if you are not in California and are not able to attend these events, you may, if you have, maybe the ability to put up stuff in the library or someplace near you where, maybe next door or something like that, you can say, hey, I want to create this event, and you can actually create an event just like that. And I mean, the immense amount of knowledge that comes with going to these events. There are growers, there are breeders, there are people who know way more than me, but way more than most people about growing fruit and what should be grafted on what and blah 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 blah. Those are the amount of knowledge that you're going to get there. Even if you're not ready to do it, just going for the experience and learning and the workshop that is, free, well, free once you go in, it's definitely worth it. So anyway, but if you are not in California, you can make an exchange yourself, just like people do seed swaps. If you are in your local area, and maybe it's not an exchange, maybe you're like, hey, I really like that apple that came off your tree over there. Can I have a stick? And they'd be like, what? Sure, you can have a stick. And maybe pay attention to where you are when people prune. I know here we prune pretty much now. The leaves aren't all the way off yet, but you can do it now. And that's generally when you cut the scions, and then you wrap them up in a Ziploc bag with just a tiny spurts of water and put them in the refrigerator. And they will last for months, maybe even a year. I actually have a couple in the refrigerator that did not get grafted last year. I might just graft this year. I need to see if they're labeled. That's very sad. See, even I took more than I actually grafted. Anyway, you can just ask for people's sticks. Say, oh, what's that? Maybe you put out a thing on Craigslist or Nextdoor and it says, hey, I'm looking for sticks off of these types of trees. And you could do that. You can get it. And it's pretty darn cool. Around here, you tend to actually do the grafting in late February, early March. And it's basically, you look when the tree is about to bud, like they're kind of just thinking about growing. That's when you want to graft it on there, so that when the energy goes into that branch, it goes all the way through into the branch that you just put on. And by a branch, I mean like you're adding like that much to a tree. You're not adding a humongous branch. It's not going to support that. So anyway, there you go. All right. Verna says, I would try to root all the ones I would get. And that's totally valid. My neighbor actually has rooted Meyer lemon from her lemon tree. Like, she actually got them to root. So that is totally valid. And if you're going that route, you can use just keeping them moist. Some of them go in water, some of them don't. You can use a rooting hormone. You can even use a willow water that willow has rotted in. That actually has a rooting hormone in it naturally. There's a lot of things you can try. And in the end, if it didn't work, the stick was going to be dead anyway. Right? Dawn says, I had neighbors come ask to take cutting from my hedges or roses I had in the past. Exactly. So this isn't limited to fruit trees. You can do hedges. You can do roses. Roses actually do a lot. And then quince as well. Quince used to be the rootstock used for pears and I believe apples, maybe. It used to be known kind of as a almost universal rootstock. And I don't know why they don't use it now, but they've kind of fallen out of favor. Maybe because there's better rootstock now. Yeah. Steve says, we're rooting a weeping willow limb. It grew like 14 feet tall, then died. Yeah, so it's important to note a lot of times things are not going to grow quickly. And a lot of times, if they start growing fast, the roots aren't there to support it. I'm going to guess that's probably what happened, or maybe it got too hot or too cold or too dry, But there's... like I rooted figs because they were in a pot and I was going on vacation and I was going to be gone for a little while. And so I'm like, I don't want anybody to have to come and water these. I don't want them to die. So I just stuck them in a bed And that's where they are now. They all turned into fig trees, and several years they were only this big. And this last year, they shot up. Like they're like, well, there's one that's as tall as the garage now, and it just had to mellow out, take that long to develop the roots, and then just shoot up. And I did not think they were going to do well. I was like, okay, well, they're just there. I'm ignoring them. They actually did go pretty well. So yeah, there we go. And Guido's Family Farm, Christina says, I've never had luck rooting roses, but I have a huge hibiscus from a small cutting. Yeah. And Don says, some grafts won't survive below freezing temperatures like we have now. Exactly. And some, like my Bear's Lime, that had died, I think, with excess water last year. But the rootstock is coming back. So I know it was grafted because it had a name. It's a Bear's Lime. Bear's Lime is a variety. It came off of a tree over here, got stuck on a rootstock. There's a tree. Ken's getting buffering. I'm going to type this. Ken, try reducing video quality. Is anybody else getting buffering? So, what was I going to say? Yeah, so basically that graft died and the rootstock is now coming up. I don't know what it is. I have another tree. I had it. It's my most expensive tree. It's $100 and it was not worth it. The fruit is terrible. And so I decided, thanks guys. I decided to let the rootstock grow because what I was getting was not great. And I'm like, fine, you can be, and the rootstock kept on wanting to grow. And to me, you're supposed to cut that rootstock back and back and back, but it is interesting. It's interesting watching that rootstock grow, and it's really healthy. And we'll see how the fruit is. I haven't really kept track with that one. That was the Valencia orange. The Valencia oranges that came off of there for years, they're just dry. They just weren't good. And so I've tried to, I think some of the ones that are on there now are the rootstock. So I haven't really kept track of it, but I'm just letting it go. All right. Dawn says, I think I had to wrap the graft when I got the weeping cherry tree as a young stick for so many years. Exactly. So you want to wrap the graft because you don't want that stick, that scion, to lose moisture because it can dry out very quickly, especially with a cut end, on either side. The thing I was going to say to Christina, you might try, it's called air layering, and I'll type it, air layering. And what that is, you can do it a couple different ways. One way, and it may have different names, I don't know. One way is to kind of score the bark of the rose and or other tree and wrap like a moist paper towel or a moist something and then like saran wrap it closed so it catches that moisture in there, not sopping wet, just moist. And the other way to do that is to actually put like potting soil, put some soil, some damp soil in there and like, again, saran wrap it tight, to there so that nothing's going in and out. And the other way to do that is to actually bend over something and bury. So if this is a tip of a plant, you can bend it over and bury right here. And right here, it will root. So again, if you do slashes, you don't want to collar. Let me back up. So we talked about the inner bark, the cambium. That's where life is. That's the live part of any tree, is that little thin inner cambium layer. And so that layer, if you cut it all the way around, like if you strip it all the way around, you're going to kill the tree because it has no way of getting nutrients from the bottom to the top. However, if you score it, so here's the stick, if you score it up and down, then that is fine. And that will give access for roots. You don't have to do it for all types of things, but for some things you can. That will give access for roots to come out and form through that, into that soil, into that damp piece of paper towel, into that part, so that you have roots already. And then when you know there's roots there, or when you suspect there's roots there, you can peek and all that, you cut it below where that bundle is, and you already have roots. So that's air layering, and it may have another name. So I recommend trying that. And I think roses would be a really good thing to try that on, because roses are known to root pretty readily. Yeah. So that's something to try. No buffering in the frozen tundra of Mississippi. Good, little buffering. Okay, all good here. Good. No buffering in warm and cozy South Louisiana, Aaron says. And Steve, I'm assuming, made a face at you. Oh, it had to be wrapped to survive winter, Dawn says. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you are getting cold and it hasn't established itself, then that definitely is something you would want to do. I don't think all of them have to be wrapped to survive winter, and I think it probably depends on the type. But for sure, if it's going to fail, it's going to fail at the graft. Yeah. Air layering is fun, Dawn says. I need to actually do it. I've seen my neighbor do it with a shrub. She did the whole bury it down. Yeah, that way it's getting nutrients through the system, but it's also growing, roots at the same time. Yeah. Dawn says, good night, everyone. I hate to go, but it's time to get off the computer. Good night, Dawn. Thank you for coming. Everybody's saying good night. All right. So something I would like to do, I don't know, somewhat soon, is start some cuttings of random things. I want to see what I can grow from cutting. I want to have some spares. I want to have some that I might sell locally, stuff like that. And a lot of the herbs you can do that with. You can do that with rosemary. You can do that with lavender and oregano, and I mean mint. You don't need to do that with mint, but you could. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do that with, and I would like to experiment with doing a lot of that, and maybe with some of the trees too, like the figs and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Steve says they make balls you pack with soil and attach to an open branch for rooting. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody actually makes a ball of soil. I did not know that. I did not know they did that for sale. But hey, if it has all the nutrients you need and all that, then go for it. That's funny. Yeah. And a lot of plants will send up shoots, and that's going to be the same scenario, as they want to grow so much so that if there's some nutrients somewhere, they can, start growing roots. So, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool to have that. Yes, they do. Have you bought one, Andy? Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool to kind of explore that. And I'm going to explore the rooting other things here pretty soon. Mulberry, figs, willow, they root really well. I mean, the willow that I have in the back, that came from a wood chip that happened to be in a place that got watered. That's how easy that one is. And I know for restoration projects, we do willow pole cuttings, and really that's literally just a cutting. It might be 3 or 4 feet long, and you bury it a couple feet in the ground. Maybe. It doesn't have to be a couple feet, but that's going to make you a good tree, because it's able to do roots all along that stem. And for restoration purposes, that is a tremendous way to go. It's awesome. Yeah. So anyway, So, who else is dealing with cold in a different way? We heard from Leslie and her quail. We heard from Aaron and Christina with their house wrap. What else is other people doing? I did have some baby quail. I keep calling them babies. They're now like 5+ weeks old, but they were 4+ weeks old when they went out, and they we have the spare bedroom. The spare bedroom is the quail room and the media room. It used to be the library. You got to have a name when you have a house that's less than 900 square feet for the spare bedroom. That's not just spare bedroom. Make it fancy. And okay. So the window, the door, everything was open, so it was basically same temperature as outside without the effects of the wind, and probably a little bit mitigated because of the rest of the house. But we did have several of them die. After a couple days out there, it did drop. The temperature dropped. Apparently, I didn't check how much it was going to drop, or maybe I did, and it dropped further. I don't remember. And then there was a couple that I think probably flew into the wall and broke their neck. They get excited when they go outside, and I've really not lost any like that before. So I think it was when they went out and then it was cold, and that was not great. A lot of them took shelter in the sandbox, and that is really, really great. And they did a great job in there, and people survived in there. Birds. And then some of them, I think, got cuddled to death, unfortunately. And that is lesson learned. So all the adults that are in there, none of them took shelter into the sandbox at all. So they were all kind of scattered. It wasn't cold for them. Yeah. All right. So Andy's talking about the soil balls. No, I thought about it. Had them in my cart. Goodness. Had them in my cart once, but then I said I can use plastic wrap. Smeh. Yeah. You can just use like plastic wrap. It works. Steve says, for my cold, I looked at the birds and said, good luck. Hope you make it. I think that's the only conversation you have with them, Steve. Andy Rabbit says, I wrapped my quail cage with plastic feed bags. Shaking your head. And Steve says they were already blocked on 2 sides of their cage, plus their sandbox, which was already enclosed. Yep. Andy Rabbit says, I put the heat lamp over the waterers in the brooder, using it as a grow out for now. There you go. That's how to keep the water thawed. That's good. I have not had to deal with water freezing. It's only gotten down to 22 here since I've been here. I mean, I moved here in 2013. And it's only gotten down to 22, and it warms right back up, as soon as the sun comes out. So I haven't had any damage or worry about the water stuff. So that's nice. I think if I did have winter, I would go with the heat tape and try and trust that. We'll see. Brenna says, I haven't been able to shake my head for many years. That's why I couldn't figure it out. Andy's laughing at you. Oh, boy. All right. Well, tomorrow's video is going to be about the kitchen floor. And again, I said this in the beginning, so I'm going to say it now again. Manuel has agreed to come on as a special guest next Monday. And so bring your flooring questions. He's a flooring specialist. So bring your flooring questions next Monday, and he'll be able to answer those for you. You've been doing flooring for over 20 years, so you should have the answers, right? Sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Andy says the rabbits seem to be loving the ice. They all had big holes eaten in it. They just like to chew on things. They really do. Well, they need to chew on things. But yeah. Animals out in the wild get water just fine, right? They get it from the ice or the snow, or there's some pocket mice that actually put rocks out at their entrance so that the moisture that they breathe out condenses as it goes to the entrance of the burrow onto those rocks, and they can get it later. How ridiculous is that? That's intelligent. Yeah. So animals figure it out. When they're in a cage or a hutch or aviary, they can't get to where they need to go sometimes, then that's different. But they definitely figure it out for themselves in nature, for sure. Yeah. All right. You guys aren't very talkative today, huh? You're all looking up how to graph things. I plan on doing a couple cuttings for figs. I really want the Cadota fig again. I had one. It died when I tried to transplant it in the wrong season. So I want to pot up one of those. Cadota figs they have over 2,000 years of naming. Yeah. They have over 2,000 years of being a named fig. And they're delicious and they're yellowish. So the birds don't know when they're ripe. Andy says, that's pretty cool, Katrina. I never heard that before. About what? I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, so that's something I want to go after, and I want to go after a couple of mulberries that I want to pot up too. So, yeah. Joyce says, I put cardboard boxes in mine and add chopped straw. So far, I've lost 3 to the cold. Okay. Well, it's working well for the other ones then. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says, I want more fig trees. Yes. We just got a warning. It's been a warning for a while. For Southern California, there's a fruit fly, black fig fruit fly, I think, that's in those. So you do want, if you are getting plant material from someone else, you do want to know where it's coming from. So just a word to the wise, because their eggs can be very tiny. Your larva can be very tiny, especially fruit fly. Verna says, I need to get the green fig again. There's so many types of green figs, Verna. Yeah. Oh, about the rocks. Yes. So there is I think it's a pocket mouse that does that. They set little, and by rocks, I mean like little tiny pebbles, because it's a mouse. But they set them out right where they know that it's going to condense as soon as it hits the other temperature air. It'll condense onto the rocks, and then they get to lap it up in the morning. Yeah. Verna says white mulberry or red. There are more than white and red. There is one. What is it called? Persian is in my head, and it's not Persian. Pakistani. There's a Pakistan mulberry that is like that long. So most mulberries, at least in the Midwest that I've seen, are like this big. This other one is like this big, and it's really good. I've tried it. Yeah. Joy says, I also put tarps over the open parts of the barn that face the wind. That's good. My birds are pretty well protected for wind, mostly because there's a big, there's a fence over here. The aviary in the corner of the yard, the raviary, it has like protection pretty much all around it. the wind comes from this direction, and then the main quail aviary, like that's the direction the wind comes from, but there's a big tree, and then there's the fence, and then like there's not much wind that actually gets into the yard. Yeah. Berta's asking, what kind of mulberry do you want? Yeah, Pakistan mulberry is the one that I'm thinking of. There's a couple other ones that I've been told about, and I need to check my notes before I go. But they are really good. Yeah. Andy says, I want a mini mulberry. Yeah, so I bought a mulberry tree off of Etsy for my dad a long time ago. It has not had fruit yet. And I feel really bad because like I got it for him because I know he likes berries, and I thought mulberry tree would be great. It's healthy. It's growing. It's growing slowly. Hasn't had fruit yet. I'm wondering if it was a seedling because it might take some time to get some fruit. We'll see. But yeah, that's another reason to get a cutting is that it's going to fruit faster than a seedling usually. Yeah. Rita says, I moved the quail cages near the window. They love looking out the window. They like to see what's around them. That's true. That is true. Yep. They are very observant that way. Yeah. I'm tempted to try kiwi again, but I just really think this is not the right place for it. I know they can grow here, but I've been unsuccessful with 5 female kiwis. So kiwi, there's varieties that you need a male and a female, which is most of the varieties of kiwi. And then there are some self-fertile ones that you just need one of them. So we'll see if anybody has those. But anyway, it's a lot of fun with these things, and it's a tremendous amount of sticks on tables. Andy says Dawn has mulberry trees in her garden. That is awesome. Yeah. Some of your mulberry trees are male and female. Perhaps, Steve? I don't know. I don't actually know, but I think you can only have one mulberry tree usually. I don't know. Goodness. Apparently I need more oxygen to my brain. Yeah, the one tree I would like to have, I have a persimmon now. It is persimmon, but if I had it, I would like to have it be a big one. I don't have room for a big one, so I'll be another place another time. Ginkgo trees need male and female trees. Yes, they do, and yeah, there are several types that do. And sometimes they're banned in places because they stink if they're male, usually. I think it's usually the male. Buster uses tank heaters for the goats. It's working. Good. Good. Steve says that perhaps you gave him a male. Some have both flowers on the tree, others are singular. It didn't have any type of flower, though. Like, mulberry trees are not like, here's my flower. Like, they're like, here's my flower. And I've even asked him, like, okay, go look at it. What's on it? Do you see anything but leaves? Yeah. And I mean, wow, that could be true. I think I've told him what the flowers look like enough that I don't think it's flowering. So anyway, it's unfortunate because I was really excited that he would have mulberries to eat, but yeah, not so much. All right, so we got Persimmon Percy. Oh boy, he's gonna have a name now. He's gonna have to learn his new name. There you go. If you do some jumping jacks, you will get oxygen. If I breathe, I will get oxygen too. Many times you don't see flowers on mulberry trees. Yeah, they're teeny tiny and not colorful. Yeah. Try to make me do jumping jacks. And you try to make me do jumping jacks. Yeah, maybe not today. Well, maybe not while I'm doing live. All right, so that is a question that people ask, Verna, is a lot of times you don't see flowers and then all of a sudden there's a fruit. A lot of trees don't have what we typically view as flowers, but they do have flowers that are more nondescript. They can have like the catkins that are long. People don't really see those as flowers. Like, oh, what's that thing? Those are flowers. And so they can be greener, they can be brownish green, all of that. So that's something. Steve asks, does Percy get a lightning bolt on his cage? Does he need one? I don't know. There's not currently one. We need to find a place for Parmesan first. And I think we might have a home for him. She needs to come visit him and see someone with a rabbit already. So we'll see if she wants him. She's like, I don't want to come and fall in love with him. Well, you might. Brenna says, every time you take out a treat to him, when you open his cage, call him by his new name and offer the treat. Yep. Oh yeah. I know how to get them to know their names. Rigatoni and Ravioli. Every single time I went in and pet them, I'd go Rigatoni, Ravioli, and like every time I touched them, I said their name. I would touch them individually, and I'm swimming. Yeah, and penne and risotto, I think know their names. I think they do, but yeah, the other two definitely know their names, and Parmesan definitely knows his name. And I think Little Boy Bunny knows his name is Little Boy Bunny. I'm gonna have to call him something else, right? Start calling him Percy. All right. Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief. You know, I saw some of those movies. I don't know how many there are. And I haven't read the books or anything. Yeah. Figs are the flower. Exactly, Verna. Exactly. They just poof appear. Yeah. Those are the only ones that I know that just poof appear. The ones that I have, at least. Because that is true. They are the flower. Yeah. Litty bitty figs. Yay. Like, that's a flower. But it's kind of hard to tell when it changes from a flower to a fig, right? Because it's growing. It's like a constant change. Yeah. And figs are great, by the way. Figs are great. Yeah. Well, what other topics do you guys want to talk about? We're getting slow in the chat. We got the name done. We know about the Scion exchange. What's next? Yeah, so next Monday, Manuel will be joining us for talking about flooring, and you guys can answer questions about flooring, or he can answer your guys' questions about flooring. If you know people who speak Spanish and want to ask questions about flooring or questions about any other thing on here, he does speak Spanish, so that would be a good thing for Spanish-speaking people to be on, because I don't speak Spanish. I can translate. I can hit the translate thing, and Google Translate, and do that. But yeah, yep. That's something to think about. Andy says figs are delicious. Yes, they are. Some more than others. And Brenna wants to know, at what age are your kits when you process them? I do 12 weeks. We are going to have to see how fast they grow with these new breeders, and we'll go from there. But I do 12 weeks. I think my previous ones were at a size I could process at like 10 weeks, I think. I let them go a couple weeks later, and I figure for the amount of meat that I get, it's worth it. I didn't do math. I didn't calculate how much the feed costs, but for me, it's worth it to have the meat. And it did not get tougher or any of that in those 2 weeks. So that is the age that I have done. And go there. Verna says, Chicago Hardy tastes like a bite of heaven. Verna, they are good. They are good. There are ones that are so much better, though. And that's what I wanted to like talk about with the scion exchanges. There are so many varieties. Like literally, you can fill up like a high school gym. You can fill it up with tables of sticks in alphabetical order. As in this is the apple tables. This is the cherry tables. There's so many things out there. Pawpaw. Somebody brought seeds one year. I think I still have them growing. They're growing very, very slowly, which probably means they're establishing roots, just like those figs. But pawpaws are another thing that most people don't have. You don't have access to them. They are native to the United States, but there are also breeds of them now, and you can plant a seed. And then when they're old enough, you can get a scion of the variety you want. So there you go. You can do that quite easily with grafting. Yeah. Logging Bird Style, welcome. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Where are you from? It is evening here. It's 6:30. We'd like to know what you're growing, what would you like to grow, if you're cooking, if you're baking. All those things. Tell us where you are, what you're growing. Oops. Sorry, guys. Steve says, when you don't know one fig from another, it's hard to know when you get started what to get started with. And that is the value of going to these events. And I know this is California, but around the United States, I'm sure there are other people who grow really, really good fruit. Like I said, Arizona has a chapter of the California Rare Fruits growers. And there are experts at these things that know what they're talking about. They know what rootstock to put it on. They know, all these things. And you can just soak it in and learn from everybody. And all of that knowledge, it's amazing what people want to share. And it's awesome. So they will let you know, okay, well, what types of things do you like? Okay, you like the sweeter ones. You like the ones that aren't quite as sweet. You want a certain color, all of that. So, I mean, people know. There's a lot of good sources there. Yeah. And Verna says, oh, pawpaws are wonderful. They are. 10:30 at Verna's place. If it's only 6:30, that means 6:30? Did I say 6:30? I meant 7:30. This is the longest 25 minutes I've experienced. Did I say 6:30? I meant to say 7:30. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Tired. Verna says some figs need a male fig tree for the females to get a second harvest. And Steve says, my luck, I'd get a male plant. Yeah, some need a partner, some don't. And I think whenever you're growing anything, it's probably best to have more than one, just so you get all the extra pollination. I think that's really good. Yeah. I did. I'm sorry. It's 7:32 now. I can correct myself. Oh, apparently didn't get enough sleep. Checking in on the bunnies at midnight. I don't know. I regularly stay up to midnight, so that's not a big deal. But there you go. I'll check on them again. Probably after this live, I'll check on them again. And then, probably check again at midnight. And then in the morning, we'll see. Hopefully we have babies and they're all healthy and mamas are healthy and mamas are good mamas and babies are good babies. That is my hope. That entire thing has to be true. Yeah. So, if you're coming on late, we voted on the Buck Bunny's name. His name is Persimmon, and we're calling him Percy for short. And Steve wants us to put a lightning bolt on his hutch. I'm human to err is human. You bet you. You bet you. You betcha. It sounds weird when you say "you bet you." Where does that come from, huh? Thanks, Berna. English is interesting, isn't it? Steve says, make sure your trees are monoecious, which means they have both sexes on the same plant. I mean, you can have different trees too. I mean, so some things like pecans, they need a friend. Another option to do, so another option, if you're in a small area, like I'm on 7,000 square foot lot, right? With over 40 fruit trees, but that's besides the point. It's you betcha, not you bet you. I know. Tired. So one way to get a male and a female plants, one way to get, so let's say you have a pecan tree, and for a pecan, I believe this is true. Anyway, let's just say it's true. For a pecan tree, you need a male plant and female plant, I believe. There are some nuts that do this. There are some trees that do this. And instead of having two trees, what you can actually do is you can graft a male onto a female tree, and then that will be what you need. The same thing is true for like a lot of cherry trees are not self-pollinating. So like Stella is self-pollinating. There's a variety of Bing. Bing is the one that's often in the stores that you see. Bing is self-pollinating, but there's a lot of things that aren't. And when you do that, you have a pollinator and you just have a branch that is that pollinator. And it will have cherries, and it will, have cherries that are pollinated either by itself or by the other ones. But you can just put a branch on it and it'll be just fine. So that is a great way to reduce the number of trees that you need and increase the number of fruit that you have. There you go. Leslie's back. I have a baby crib camera in the hutch, and when I see an egg, I run out and get it before it freezes. Oh boy, how cold is it where you are, Leslie? You said negative 27. Has it been negative 27? Like does it get warm in the daytime? Oh, but that's a good tip to have a baby crib camera. It's a good tip. Verna says, the saying I remember is, to err is human, to forgive is divine. There you go. Can we graft a male on a female? We are talking about trees. To relate, for Leslie just came into the conversation. Yes. Yeah, you can graft a male on you. That's what I'm talking about. A male branch you can graft onto a female tree. And as long as that branch stays alive, that branch will have male flowers and the rest of the tree will have female flowers. And you can, minus 16 degrees. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, and as long as both of them are still flowering, then you will have pollination. And so if you look out, okay, I'm going to relate this to California because that's where I am. That's what I know. If you drive through the Valley of California, that's not what it's called, the San Joaquin Valley, and you see all of the fruit trees, you will notice, especially in like winter right now when there's no leaves, every once in a while there'll be a tree with leaves, or there'll be a tree. So that's the two things. So like in almond groves has male tree somewhere, and then all the rest are female trees. And I think pistachios might be the same. But you'll see like equally spaced, there's a tree that's different. And it could be different because it has leaves and other ones don't. I don't know why they tend to hold on to their leaves longer. And also they might paint it. You'll see like a band around the trunk. And that is painted because it's a different variety or it's a male. And usually, we call it a pollinator of some sort. So that pollinator could be it's a different variety, or it could be that it's a male. And there's a whole science behind finding out, just like we raise quail, we know 1 male to 5 females is a good ratio. You can vary that a little bit, but really that's the best ratio. It's the same for plants. So you can say, here's a male tree. Let's put some female trees around. How far out do we go before we start to lose pollination? then we need to put another tree. So there's this whole science behind all that. And if you are getting into orcharding, that's a word now, then that's something that you can figure out by talking to someone else. But that knowledge is out there. It does exist. And so in an orchard setting, it makes sense to have a whole tree. In a backyard setting, it might not make sense to have a whole extra tree. You can just have a branch or a couple branches or, whatever you choose. So, yeah. Steve says, oh my, Leslie, you're going to get lots of exercises. Those would be extra healthy eggs. She has 16 birds, so she's not too many at least, right? Maybe they'll do 2 at a time. There you go. Oh, Leslie is having a warming spell up to -16. Oh boy. Andy's laughing. I guess if you didn't know what we were talking about, that would sound funny. That's why I clarified. We want to make sure everybody understands that we're doing good things. Verna says most nuts have male and female flowers, but some trees have a hormone that will kill the pollen from their tree, so they have to be cross-pollinated. Okay. I don't know anything about that. It's worth looking into. Steve says orcharding, the cultivation of orchard. It's a word. I didn't make it up. Thank you. Ken says interesting. Ken, I feel you are overwhelmed. Are you overwhelmed? Is it buffering still? Hopefully it's not buffering. Yeah. So I know with the cherries, it's a pollination of a different variety for a lot of them. And like, I think Lapins and Tatarian are 2 that are like a lot of it pollinates a lot of things. So yeah, people other than me figured this out. It's in your Scrabble dictionary. Orcharding. Okay. I gotta have someone to play Scrabble with now. Currently no buffering. Good. But Ken, you did see the California Rare Fruit Growers Scion Exchange in Sacramento, right? I want to make sure he saw that because he's like the only person in California here. Anyway, so yeah, that you can do all sorts of stuff with trees. I mean, there's even people that like weave them. In Gilroy, it used to be called Bonfante Gardens, and they now have Gilroy Gardens. It's like a child's amusement parks. So good. Says thanks. Yes, thanks for the heads up. And in that, it's kind of weird because it used to be all about the trees, and like they would move them and form them into different shapes as they grew, and they would braid them, like not just your little tiny money tree, right? Like big trees. And now it's like, I mean, an amusement park. But the trees, a lot of the trees are still there. So I don't know. Andy Rabbit says, are there any cherry trees that don't need an extra tree? Yes. Stella is self-fertile, and it grows. There is a self-fertile Bing cherry, and that's what you want to look for. If you want fertile, if you want a tree to have fruit without a partner, then self-fertile is what you want to look for, like on the tag or on the description or something. Now it's going to probably always be better if there's other trees there, because I mean, extra pollen doesn't hurt, right? Yeah, Verna, I know. I have a fancy board game that I got at a thrift store. It's like a turntable. It has drawers to put the pieces in. It was like $10 or something. I don't remember what it was. Your red Chinese maple is braided? Yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that you can do with fruit trees. There's also, there's people, so I mean, as long as that cambium layer comes together, they can be grafted. Like it's kind of the same as grafting, except for when they're next to each other, they can grow together. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think a lot of the trees are still there. I don't think they've like cut them down or anything. Bonfonte Gardens. But yeah, it is a child's amusement park now, though. I've gone there with a friend of mine, her kids. Yeah. So there we go. You guys tired? You're just cold. I probably don't even need this vest on. It's not really cold here, but that's okay. Verna says, have you heard of no-leaf beans? They don't need to be staked. Interesting. I saw Self-Sufficient Me. Mark with Self-Sufficient Me did a video. I don't think I watched it yet. I know he did something about peas, I thought, with no leaves, which is interesting. But no, I have not watched that yet, and I haven't heard of that. But really, if the green parts of the plant are green, they're photosynthesizing. They are doing photosynthesis. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says, I braid the branches together. You can only see it in winter months, though. Yeah. Yeah. Both. I don't know what both means. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. It was peas? Okay. I don't think I watched that video. I need to go back and look at it. I see stuff that comes up. I'm subscribed to him too. But I see stuff that comes up and then it doesn't, like, I don't get to it. I listen to a lot of things. Like, I listen to things while I'm working on other things. And sometimes I watch it. Excuse me. Goodness. Sometimes I watch things, and a lot of times I'm listening and not watching, which is good. Yeah. So Andy Rabbit's saying both. Are you saying that there's beans that do that and there's peas that do that with no leaves? I planted things and I haven't had anything come up yet, which is kind of disappointing. I'm hoping that they're just getting ready to do it. Yeah. Verna says they really had leaves, but they brace themselves instead of looking for things to grab on. Okay. Thank you, Verna. Oh, you're tired and cold? Got it. Well, you got to warm up. You can do jumping jacks for that, I've heard. Since you're trying to get me to do jumping jacks in the middle of a live. Oh. All right. So those people that are in weather affected areas, I'm just going to give you this. Let me look it up. Just because we talked about weather. Why is the internet slow? All right. I know I am a part of this. I don't know if other people have joined it or not. Come on. Why is this doing this? Oh, there's a lag behind me. I'm sorry. It's gonna warm up 220 degrees Thursday. All right. Okay, so here's a website I'll show you guys. Share screen. All right. Here is a website. It is Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. And you can see just how many little dots there are. Lots of little dots. And this is a fun map just to look at, especially when there's weather happening, of there's a lot going on right here where I know a lot of you guys are. But you can zoom in on places. Let's zoom in right here. Oh, you have to click on it first. You can zoom in on places and see just how many of these stations there are. And you can get readings on things. Okay, let's just pick this random one. Clarksville. I don't know where we are. But this will give you all the observation time, the date, and the gauge, how much was in there. If there was snow, how much snow there was. And then there'll be notes, light snow at time of observation. And you guys can do this. Like, you can be, this person checked at 8 a.m. and there was half an inch. You can be a reporter for these events. And they also have like the opportunity to put in like significant weather. There's also hail pads that you can get, but basically, where was I? I was in Tennessee. Okay, up here you guys aren't getting much. Let's look at this one that has some blue. 0.02 of an inch. It's not very much. Snow depth was 0.3. So it has both data and, okay, and my face is going to come back. Stop sharing. But it has the data that people collect, and you can collect the data and put it on the website. So you guys have seen my rain gauge that I have there. The inner tube comes out, and then that becomes a snow gauge. And then like where my dad lives, he actually does that, and you melt the snow to get the amount of water in the snow. So, we have heavy snow and light snow, and then that is totally a different, like, if the snow is this deep, it could be really heavy or really light. And so it gives you a precipitation, like a measurement of moisture when you do that. So I haven't had to deal with snow, so I actually don't know how he does it, but I know he melts it. And the only thing they ask is that you get the rain gauge that they have, because it's a very accurate rain gauge. And so you do have to buy that. But after you do that, you don't need anything else to buy. And you get to report the weather. And that can be really important for, severe storms. If there's a severe storm that comes through, or if there's, so the weather, I always like to say being a weatherman is the job you can be wrong the most at and still have a job, right? And that's because all of these weather people predict the weather based on the same set of data. They have basically, they all have the same set of data, and they interpret it. And why this organization started is because there was a town that got wiped out. It rained so much, it flooded, and no one saw it coming. It wasn't in the forecast. It wasn't on the radar. And basically, they use this information. If there's enough people reporting something in an area, then that will actually go into NOAA, so the national level. NOAA is hooked into this and says, okay, something's happening here. We're going to do an alert, and we're going to tell people about it and all that. Another thing that can happen is they actually use that data to kind of train to know what the on-the-ground measurements are versus what the radar is showing. So the radar shows something. How did the two correlate, on the ground? And so it is a really important thing for refining that and making better weather predictions. But it's kind of a lot of fun to see like how much water falls, especially when there's a lot, or how much snow there is or whatever. And I know with snow, you measure what's existing and you measure what's new. So you have to, you clear a spot, and then, you either do it in the tube or clear a spot and measure. And I know my dad's measuring area for constant snow is on top of the picnic table. He has about that much snow on there right now. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. And especially like if you have, kids or elderly people that, would like something to do, or something, learn about weather, learn about tracking things, learn about recording data, all that stuff. I think it's a good thing. Also for yourself. So Andy Rabbit says, I have my heater set on 76. I'm still colder than I want to be. That is very warm. That is very warm. What is mine? Mine says 66 right now. I think it's set to 65. 27 at Verna's place on Wednesday. Heat wave. Buster says we will get up above freezing Wednesday. Hurry up, Wednesday. Okay, Verna, you saved it. And Buster says, I will have to save that. Awesome. And Verna says, won't get above freezing till the 22nd. Oh, boy. Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to be a part of. You get an update, every once in a while. They give you an update. There's they have a Facebook group thing. It's something fun that you can do by yourself, with a group, with, whatever. And it's actually data that gets used, which is nice. And the value of citizen science, that's what we call this. Citizen science is really, you get a lot more data on them in mass, right? And more ability to read these things. So in a storm situation, you also have the opportunity to report hourly. And that way they can track storms as they happen. They can track like what's going on now. And, you can be that reporter in the field. Yeah. Andy Rabbit says, I've been outside frozen most of the day on and off. It's hard to warm back up. Take a warm bath with a hot chocolate. Make sure the hot chocolate goes in the cup, not the bath. That is my prescription. I'm not a doctor. But that will likely be the best way to warm up, honestly. Yeah, make sure all your fingers and toes are there. There you go. All right, so I cheer that Kokoros thing every once in a while. Try to get more people involved, but as you saw on the map, like there's a lot of people doing it, and it's actually more than the United States. It's I should have zoomed out. Here, let me share the screen again. All right, so there's a screen, and you can see, Hawaii has some, Alaska has some, Canada. Then it's down here in these islands. I don't think it's gone anywhere else. It definitely could. There's no reason why it wouldn't. But yeah, there's Hawaii. No, there's one. Where's that? Is that one or is that just an island? No, it's just an island. I so thought there was one there. There is one there. Mong Mong? I have no idea. Anyway, apparently there's one there on Hagatana. Anyway, so they're all over the place. Hawaii. I think there was more in Mexico. Maybe not. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. Look at all that stuff happening in Florida. And Bahamas, Virgin Islands. I mean, there's tons of stuff happening here. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I hope you found that interesting. I find it interesting. Oh, Andy says I have a mattress electric warmer pad. I'll get toasty when I go to bed. That sounds like a good plan. Sounds like a good plan. Yeah. Well, guys, should we call it a night? Who's happy that Percy is this bunny's name now? Persimmon Percy. Anybody frustrated besides PJ who wanted it to be coconut? She hasn't been talking much. She might have fallen asleep. Yeah, so we have Percy now. Add him to the bunch. Are you waving or saying aye? You're happy? So happy. Alrighty, guys. I think we are going to hang up the phone. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight. I was a little bit slower, but we had, yes, you had said who was happy. I know, and then I asked more questions. Andy says, I like jackfruit, but Percy is, I keep saying Percy. It's Percy. Percy is cute. Yep. Leslie says, first time on and enjoyed it very much. Good night. Thank you for coming out, Leslie. I hope you enjoyed it a lot and keep track of those eggs out there. I'm glad you're doing good with those guys. All right, guys, we will see you next week. Tomorrow's video is about flooring. So whether you want to learn about that, I don't know, but it's going to be some educational material. And yes, so Steve says, glad to have you here, Leslie. We're here every Monday night. Absolutely. Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know what that is, Wyoming time. I don't know if you're 1 hour or 2 hours. Yeah. Oh, Buster. I'm not on Wednesday. Verna's on Wednesday. Yeah. All right, guys. So next week, Manuel will be on. Go ahead and share that information that if you're, with anybody who wants to learn about flooring, go ahead and share that information. That next week at 6 p.m., Manuel is going to be on. Also, with any Spanish-speaking people who want to ask flooring stuff or any stuff we usually talk about, he will be able to somewhat translate and give some answers in Spanish if people want. And so that is something to look forward to for Spanish-speaking people. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. Have a good week, guys. Good night. Oh, sorry. Sent before I was through. Oh, no, you're good. You good. All right. Good night, guys.